this video, we're going to be talking about structuring your academic article, which is an absolutely fantastic topic because the Jenny.ai tool can really help you with the structure of your next research article. One of the really fantastic things about the Jenny tool is that when you open it up and go in and start to put an article together, it's going to ask you what kind of research article would you like? What kind of article would you like? So you can go in and you can change and modify the structure of your article as you build out the text, as you build out the contents of your research article. You'll want, for example, to tell the tool initially that you're putting together a research article and then amend the different sections. So it'll give you suggestions for different sections. You can amend those based on your target journal. Have a listen to our previous video about selecting a target journal. So in this video, we're going to talk about article structure. We're going to talk about the IMRAD structure of academic article writing, and then we're going to give you some easy to follow templates for writing the different sections of your next academic paper. So let's begin by talking about structure. Why is it so important to have a structure in your academic writing? Well, we don't write papers just to pin them on the wall or for other members of our own research groups. We write papers for readers, and that's something that's often forgotten about in the academic writing process. We write papers for readers, and of course, readers need to know where they are throughout the writing, throughout the reading process of an article. So your paper is a bit like a story. It's got to have a plot. Readers need to know where they are, where they've come from, and where they're going next in the article. They don't want to get lost, because if they get lost, they lose interest, and then of course they'll switch off from reading your paper and go off and read somebody else's or go off and do something else. So structure is absolutely critical if you're going to keep your readers interested in your next academic research article. You've probably seen, or you've probably become aware of, either subconsciously or consciously, with the manuscript structure, the STM, Science, Technology, Medicine and Mathematics article structure that we like to call IMRAD. Introduction, methods, results, and discussion, with the title and abstract on the top. Perhaps you've seen this. Perhaps you've written a paper using this structure. It's the basis for this presentation. We're going to talk our way through the famous IMRAD academic article structure in this video in collaboration with our friends at Jenny.ai. So when you start putting an article together using the Jenny.ai tool, make sure you tell the tool that you're writing a research article, and make sure you tell the tool which journal you've selected, what the structure of the subheadings is going to be within your article. And then the Jenny tool can help you to put your paper together following the manuscript structure, following, in this case, the IMRAD academic article structure. So, one of the first things that we like to say about the IMRAD structure, of course, people will read your paper in this sequence. They'll start at the beginning, they'll carry on going until they get to the end, and then they'll stop in the famous Alice in Wonderland sequence, the title followed by the introduction, followed by the methods, followed by the results, and followed by the discussion. But it's often much better, more effective, more efficient, easier for you as a researcher, as an author, to write your paper in what we like to call the right order, often starting with the bits that you've already got done, the results and the methods. When you finish a research project, you of course have your results in hand. You know what your methods are because you've just conducted the study. You've got the methods ready to go. So it's often better to write with a structure in mind, but starting from the middle, from the methods and results, and working outwards. Don't forget that people will read your paper in a particular order, but you might write it in the right order, as you can see on the screen here, the different sections. You'll also probably be quite familiar, potentially, with what we like to call the IMRAD egg timer. The IMRAD egg timer shape for academic papers, because the introduction, methods, results, and discussion are not shaped the same in an effective, interesting, compelling academic article. They've got this shape with, of course, the methods and results very narrow, very tightly focused on your particular study, but the introduction starting off broad, starting off with reasons why the work should be read. What's the bigger picture? What's the compelling reason, the significance, the why of the study? Why did you do the study? Then, of course, you get narrower in the introduction. We're going to talk about templates for the different sections in a moment, building out into your discussion, which, of course, again, should start specific. You want to begin your discussion by talking about the answer to the question, to the issue that your paper addresses, and then get broader, get more interesting, get more outward, get more thinking about the broad significance of the study itself. This is the IMRAD egg timer shape for academic articles. So, let's begin. Let's talk about templates for the different sections, beginning with a title. What should go into an effective academic article title? Well, think about what your readers want to know and include 3 important factors in your title: the variable, the outcome, and the sample. You'll want to compel people to read your paper. Did you know that academic article titles less than 7 words in length actually get more readers? You'll get more citations if you keep your titles short and sweet. Keep it interesting. Less than 7 words for an effective title if you can. So prepare. A good title should contain the fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents of the study. Keep it short. Identify the main issue. Begin with the subject. Be accurate, unambiguous, specific, and complete. Don't get infrequently used abbreviations that no one else outside of your subject area has ever heard of. And above all, attract people. Get them wanting to read the paper. Jenny can give you many suggestions for really compelling, really interesting, really eye-catching titles for your next paper. Just put your ideas into the tool. The tool will give you some suggestions for titles for your paper that will be eye-catching, that will be compelling, that will get people wanting to read more. So, a great title should be concise and informative, including the most important words related to the topic, the keywords in the title. Entice your readers without giving away the punchline. Don't make it overly sensational, the most amazing, the most fantastic, the biggest, the greatest. These are not the kinds of words that we want to use in academic writing. And of course, if your journal requires it, you can get information on your study design into the title as well. Just tell the Jenny tool that that's what you want to do. Compelling, interesting, getting people wanting to read more. One of the most difficult bits of academic article writing. A well-written quality abstract should be honest and precise. It's got to stand alone because in search engines, the title, the abstract, and the keywords are often all people read. No technical jargon, it must be short and specific, and you don't want any references often in your abstract. Imagine that you're writing a piece of work that is all that somebody's going to read. Could be a conference abstract. It'll be the abstract for your paper, but imagine that this is all that somebody is going to read. Your readers are busy academics, busy researchers. They don't have time to read everything published in their field. They read abstracts. We read abstracts to keep up to date on research. And of course, your abstract is often the only part of your paper that somebody else is going to read. Writing an effective abstract can be done easily if you have the structure in mind before you start. And one of our top tips for writing an effective abstract is to follow the 4-question-based technique. Question 1, why did you do the study? Question 2, what did you do? Question 3, what did you find? And question 4, what did you conclude? In sequence, that's the structure. Have a look at any article in a high impact factor journal and you'll see that structure in the abstract. Why did you do the study? What did you do? What did you find? And what did you conclude? This structure for abstract writing helps your readers. It keeps your readers engaged. It tells them exactly what they need to know about the study, and it keeps them working, it keeps them thinking, it keeps them wanting to read more. So if you're thinking about putting an abstract together, do have a go at our 4-question-based technique for writing an effective abstract. Titles and abstracts, these are what people use to find other articles. Titles and abstracts are very, very important for SEO, for search engine optimization. On the basis of these, your titles and abstracts, other researchers will find your work when they go in and they search for your study using the other tools available for literature searching. But you're going to need some keywords as well. When you make your submission, you're going to have to also put some keywords into the submission system. So let's have a look at identifying 12. Find a database. If you're working in medical and health sciences, you'll have access to MESH on demand, MESH, but you can also ask the Jenny tool to help you come up with keywords for your paper. Test them against databases, Google them, search them online, and put 2 of them into your title. 5 or 6 in the keyword list, and then using 3 keywords, repeat those a few times in your abstract. You don't want to use the same keywords in the title and in the abstract as you have in your keyword section, because that would be a waste of keywords. Keeping them separate between the title and the keyword section is a good tip. But this will help you to be discoverable. This approach will mean that your work is easier to find. The introduction, fantastic practice points for a well-written, effective introduction. You're going to need an opening sentence that takes the reader straight to the issue. A brief summary of the controversies and the best evidence in section 2. Keeping within the rules of good writing, use the active rather than the passive voice if you can in your writing, the most important details of the issue, and ending your introduction with a crisp and clear research question. Remember that we said that a well-written introduction should contain 3 sections? Well, section 1, what's the question? That opening sentence sets the scene for section 1 of your introduction. Section 2 is the summary of controversies and best evidence. And then ending in section 3 of your introduction with a crisp and clear research question, talking about how you set out to answer the question that your paper seeks to address. So here's a useful template for writing a fantastic introduction. Just 3 paragraphs. Your research question, the current state of the art, and then finishing with a final short section, this study shows. Your research question, what does your study seek to address? the current state of the art, and this study shows. Let's talk about writing an effective method section. That's not boring, and in fact, a method section is often a timeline sequence of events. You can write down a sequence, what you did in your study. So actually, writing an effective method section is quite easy if you just think about what you did in sequence in your study. What you did first, what you did second, what you did third, and what you did last. Data collection, of course, comes before data analysis, and that's why analysis, statistical analysis, data analysis is often the last part of a method section. Of course, you've got to collect the data before you analyze your data. So have a think about putting an effective method section together by thinking about the timeline sequence of events that went into your study, perhaps from your lab book, perhaps from your notes. This can be a section of academic writing in terms of structure that's really quite simple and something that you can do, you can put together while your study is still ongoing. So keep up to speed on the paper writing process with an effective article method section. In the methods section, which by the way lots of people think is boring, but no, this is the best bit of article writing. Here you need to provide enough methodological details so that any other qualified scientist could duplicate your work. Give a narrative, a timeline, a step-by-step sequence of what you did, how you put your study together. Don't use the wrong method to answer your question, of course. Peer reviewers will be looking carefully at your method section. This is the section of your paper where there are likely to be comments, so do have a look at this, bulletproof it, waterproof it, show it to others before you make your article submission. And you don't want too much detail. You can put a lot of that into the online supplements, but make sure you are putting enough information into your methods so that another reader, another researcher can duplicate what you did. This is the section where lots of comments are likely to come in peer review. In the results section, you give your readers the outcomes, the results, the information, just the results, no interpretation. And our top tip for writing a fabulous, effective results section is to follow the same structure that you already put in place with the methods. Remember, we talked about writing these components of your article first, the right order. So, build your results around figures. Using figures, mapping to the sequence of events that you talked about in your methods section, a figure caption, a single outcome, a single result in sequence through this section. Very important not to give interpretations, just the results and results that relate to the question that your article seeks to address. The results section is the facts and nothing but the facts, ordered around primary and secondary outcomes in the same order as listed in the methods, stating simply and clearly what you found, using words and numbers and tables and figures first. Tables and figures to summarize your data, figures to illustrate your main takeaways, your message, and then build your text around your figures in the same sequence as you put together your timeline of events, what you did in the study in the methods section. In your discussion, then, that final triangular section, the expanding bottom half of our fantastic IMRAD egg timer diagram, you're going to explain what your results mean or how they may differ from others. Interpret your results in light of other published works. Relate your discussion back to the introduction. Begin your discussion by telling the reader what the answer is to the question that your paper seeks to address. They've made it all the way to the discussion. Start the discussion by telling them the answer. What is the main outcome? And then, of course, you expand on that, you bring that out, you talk about the wider significance of the findings of your study, but limit your conclusions to what you can actually support. Don't put too much egg in the pudding. Don't speculate. Be consistent with your results section. But at the same time, you should be suggesting future directions for research, new methods, new things that you might do in the future. And one important reason for doing this as a researcher in your discussion is that you don't want other people reading your paper to come up with ideas and go off and do them themselves. You want people to cite you. You've got to have priority over those new directions. So do put them into the later stages of your discussion section. An effective discussion section should start with the answer to the question that your paper seeks to address and not go off in lots of different directions. You don't want to write an expansive essay that goes all over the place in your discussion. Talk about your weaknesses. Talk about what your study could not address, and give the reader information relevant to the question that your paper is looking at. Tell them why it's important. Build out from that answer and make your methods and discussion much more relevant to bigger, wider, and interesting questions. Tell readers why this is important, and also any answers or any things that your study couldn't address, any unanswered questions. Weaknesses and unanswered questions are great to talk about because this, of course, prevents peer reviewers from having a go at those particular aspects of your work in their review. So a great discussion section is quite easy to write, again, if you follow a tight structure. Starting specific with the answer to the question that your study seeks to address and building out, getting more broad and finishing strong. Very important to finish your article strong. You will get published if you picked an important research question. If you use the right method to to answer the question, you write effectively, and that's where we can help. That's where Jenny.ai is definitely your main go-to partner for research and academic writing in order to give your readers a clear, concise account of your study and convey a great, clear take-home message. Thank you so much for listening to this video. In this video, we have walked through an IMRAD structure for an academic paper, giving you tips, giving you tricks, and giving you templates for successfully writing, following our templates, and with the use of the Jenny.ai tool, the different sections of an effective academic paper, the IMRAD structure: introduction, methods, results, and discussion, as well as titles, abstracts, and keywords. My name's Gareth. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in our next video.